Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin with the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how are you doing this week?
Doing great. How about you, Eric?
Doing fantastic.
Getting very
We're,
psyched for Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday of the year.
yeah, we're getting ready. Families already started to arrive. People have hit the road going where they're going.
Yep. Hopefully Wednesday will be a decent travel day here, but I hear if you're coming in from different parts of the country, it could be difficult. So,
Yeah, we've got some freaky weather going on around the country. Hopefully, it won't keep anybody from getting to their Thanksgiving dinners on time. And today, because we're recording this Thanksgiving week, we're going to do our annual show about gratitude. Because that's what Thanksgiving is all about. And realistically, it's what the whole holiday season is about, and that's what we're kicking off.
yeah, and the bottom line is if you make your life about gratitude, you're going to have a whole lot better life going for you, too. I mean, there's two ways that you can look at every single instance, and we talked about that. You can look at things negatively or you can look at things positively. And although we will always have negative reactions to things, which is initial feelings, we do have the opportunity every single instance for every single event to pause for a second and let our response be positive, regardless of our initial negative reaction. And really, that's what gratitude can help you do more and more and more. Because the bottom line is, if you really take a look at things, you're going to realize that gratitude overpowers negativity every single time. And there's a lot of different ways that we can talk about that today. But one of the key ways to do that, one of the first books about the law of attraction was The Secret. And she talked about, Rhonda Byrne talks about gratitude. And one of the things she talks about is what's called the shifter. And that could be a positive image or a positive feeling that you always have in your mind. And anytime you have a negative thing go on, you automatically think of that positive reaction or the positive picture that you have or the positive feeling that you have. Negativity is never going to go away, but you feel a lot better when you're feeling good than bad when you're feeling bad.
Absolutely. It's so important. And it's not just about, you know, an abstract attitude. We all have a lot going on in our lives. And I don't like to talk about politics on this podcast. We have other podcasts in the Xvadio network where we talk about politics, but there are a number of presidential candidates right now whose whole campaign seems to be, well, they have more than you, and that's not fair. And I think we really need to look at ourselves because even the poorest people in the United States are among the top 1% globally. And even when you're feeling, oh, well, I don't have everything that I would like, things are, we're struggling, you really need to take a good look at what you have and how much you have and understand that there are people all over the world that would dream to have as much as you do. And
And you
it's important to be grateful for this.
and the bottom line is a lot of those people who wouldn't mind having as much as we have or more and are living in what we call very, very poor circumstances as far as material goods are among the happiest people in the world because they really, really get it. There's a movie, I think it's called Happy, that talks about that same thing in an interview. It shows the lives of some people in a lot of different areas of the world who are very, very happy. And then it shows a, a death of somebody in their 30s in Japan of a father who's just work all the time. And all of a sudden, his wife found him dead in his 30s because all he was doing was stuff for material goods and that kind of thing. And it's what he was driven for. It's not that that was what the whole life was, but that's what a lot of cultures drive people towards that, ignoring the fact that the most important thing in life is coming from your heart and being happy with the people and the circumstances that you have, just as you said.
Right. I mean, the two biggest enemies of gratitude are jealousy and envy. And, if you're looking at other people and comparing yourselves to them and trying to keep up with the Joneses, it never works out well because you never feel you have enough. So you're always trying to outdo somebody. And, we talk a lot about self improvement. And when you're focused on gratitude and grateful for what you already have, it allows you to open up and you're not competing against others anymore. You're competing against yourself to be the best person you can. And that's really the mindset that we need to focus on because, we all want to improve. But
Yeah,
if you're doing it out of jealousy, if you're doing it out of envy, then you're never really going to be happy with what you're accomplishing.
yeah, and as you just said, really the reason for that is you're competing with yourself. The bottom line is you have wonderful things going on out there too that other people are jealous of you having. And if we just compliment people instead of get jealous about things and look at things, compare ourselves, complimenting instead of comparing. We talk about turning one things 180 around, and that's one of the keys to gratitude. Every negative thing out there, there's an opportunity in that obstacle to your gratitude. And you can think of anything that comes up, you can think of something positive that's 180 degrees different from that. Maybe it's hard for you to accomplish or whatever, but if you start thinking about that, that will help you moving in the right direction because the bottom line is most of what's wrong is just a perception of yours that's not really real. And if you write things down on paper, all these different things that you think are wrong, and you really, really look at them, you're going to realize that most of those things are self-inflicted and they're just things that you're worrying about, and you're the only person that can correct that, not the other person out there. So if you appreciate other people, that's one of the best ways of showing gratitude is appreciating others. And you know what, they're going to feel good when you appreciate them, but that's what's going to make you feel so much better because it's coming from the heart. It's just honest and sincere appreciation. It's unconditional giving, and that's something to strive for. And it's very easy to do once you get yourself into the habit of doing it, appreciating instead of looking for something that's wrong.
Right. And I like what you just said about perception because perception changes from person to person, and none of us really perceives things the same way. I've had a couple of incidents where someone comes up to me and they know my business or they know something that I've been doing, and they tell me how impressive it is. And my perception is, well, I'm just doing things. It's not terribly impressive. It's just what we do. But to somebody else, it looks so difficult, and we overcome so many things to do what we do that sometimes other people can see what we have better than we can. And it's important to really, put yourself in someone else's shoes and take a look at yourself from the outside and see just how much you have and how much you've accomplished and overcome. And then once you've looked at all of that, it does become much easier to be grateful for what you have and what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the keys to doing it, which we've talked about a lot, is developing and maintaining a positive mindset. And what that takes up front is working on yourself. We've talked about the power of a victory log, which the next time you look at other people and you see all the different things they have that you wish you had, what a victory log is taking out a sheet of paper, or I recommend putting it in a spreadsheet so that you can look at it all the time and sort it out in the different areas. But from day one in your life, you write down all the accomplishments that you ever had in your life, all of the different fun relationships that you've had, all the awards and so on and so forth. And you're going to be writing pages and pages and pages of great things that have happened to you, great things that you've done and accomplished. And the next time you're feeling down, just go take a look at that list. And then the next step is to start a gratitude journal, which is every day writing something that you're grateful for or something great that happened to you. You can do it in a lot of different ways, saying, I'm grateful for this person and this and that, whatever. What I like to do every day, which I've been doing for the last 6 years, is my gratitude journal. is just a spreadsheet where I list all the dates of the year down the left column. Then the right column, I just write comments about what happened the day before that was really cool. So I can actually go back and review my life and all the fun things that have happened to me and wonderful things and great things. And even the things that made me a little bit sad, but appreciative of the people that I was with for the last 6 years. And that's a pretty cool thing to do. The bottom line is what I'm talking about here is if you can start every day with a positive morning routine, hint, hint, turn the news off, you can really, really start your way towards making things better because the bottom line is the way you start your day is normally the way that your day is going to continue on. So, my tip number one, obviously, starting a victory log and a gratitude journal is good, but if you do something every day to start your day in a positive manner for at least 10, 15 minutes, it's going to make the rest of your day seem a whole lot better. Whereas if you get up with a negative routine, listening to the news first thing and whatever, and hearing all the bad stuff that's going on, it's bound to make your day miserable and easier for you to be grumpy and jealous of others and thinking that you're lacking.
Absolutely. Start the day right. You know, there's the old saying, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And the whole reason behind that was that this gives you the fuel to get through your day. It kickstarts you. Well, doing something to put yourself in a positive mindset works the same way. This is the fuel that gets you through the day and it propels you. And you really do have to look at what you've got, not just in terms of things, but in terms of people. And like most of us have a group of people that we know if we send up a flare, those people are going to come running to help. And it's great and you should be grateful to those people. But within that group, most of us usually have a handful of people, maybe even just one or two, that these are the people who are there when you don't send up the flare. These are the folks that they can tell when something's wrong and they're there for you. And that's something very special. And not only do you need to be grateful for people like this, you need to let them know. You need to tell them, yes, I am so happy that you are a part of my life. And spreading that, letting people know, saying thank you for just little things that happen, not only make you feel better, but make them feel better. And it spreads that attitude of gratitude.
Gratitude is contagious. And one of the things you can do the next time you're in a group of people who are starting to trash somebody is maybe say something positive and say, hey, let's do something radical and have a positivity moment and say something nice just for the sake of doing that. And seeing the way that makes other people feel. I mean, you and I both teach gratitude as part of the way that we teach. And it's contagious. It is absolutely contagious. And the bottom line is, people don't hear about that enough, and they love hearing about that kind of thing. So, one of the best tips that I have for you out there is just take a look and try and appreciate things that are out there instead of being picky and look at the things that are wrong. Find gratitude in your challenges. The bottom line is, whatever challenge you have, once you get by that challenge, you will have learned something and it's going to make you better for it. Practicing mindfulness is a huge part of it. And that's really, if you can just get this one thing down, it's going to help you big time as far as being grateful for things. And all that is, as we talked about before, is instead of just responding with your initial reaction, one of the best responses you can have after you react to something negatively is to just be silent for a little bit without judging things and maybe stay silent instead of doing anything at all. But the most important thing is you have to live in the present, because if you dwell in the past, which is behind you, you are your own worst enemy and you're kicking yourself because there's nothing you can do about it. If you're worrying about the future and what might happen and how other people might affect you, that hasn't happened yet either, and you're wasting the present moment. That's all we have. So if you can groom yourself just to pause between your reaction and your response, that's huge, especially once you develop that positive mindset, because that's going to be fueling that response.
Exactly. And I want to take a step back. You were talking about, when people are gossiping or putting people down. And science has shown that the reason people do this is because they're insecure about themselves. They don't feel good about themselves. So they're trying to elevate themselves by putting somebody else down. But the result of this is that you actually feel worse about yourself when you do this. Because again, you're comparing yourself to them. You're trying to convince yourself, oh, well, I'm better than these people. And if you raise them up and raise yourself up at the same time, you feel better about yourself. And it's been shown in study after study that you feel better about yourself when you boost people up and when you focus on the positive things they do or the positive things that they've accomplished.
And
So,
that's rule of life, whether it's personal or whether it's in the workplace. If you're in the workplace and you're looking for the good in your employees or the people that you're working with, it lifts the atmosphere of the whole workforce there, and it makes your day there a whole lot better. It gives you a whole lot more potential for profitability and all of that. So it's really, really important. We talk about find somebody doing something good. Use that mantra for a day. Find something doing something good day as opposed to trying to criticize somebody. Change all the buts about people as far as what's wrong with them into ands. And this person is this good at this and this good at that, and so on. And the bottom line is that is contagious. And it's gonna if it starts with you, it's gonna spread to the different people that you're talking to. Is that going to be covered in the negative news? No. However, there's a whole lot more of that out there than there is negativity. It's just that that's not emphasized. So what we have to do is emphasize it ourselves, and we can. And again, your response does not have to be your initial reaction. It's the best way to start it. Be positive.
right. And if you're in an environment where there is all of this negativity, be the positive influence. Before I started my business, when I was still in corporate, I was in an interesting position in the company I was at where I was literally the definition of middle management. And because I was middle management, there were a lot of people that answered to me, but I wasn't high enough in the chain for those people that answered to me to feel that they had to hide things from me, or I wasn't part of the hierarchy. So people would still talk to me about things. And upper management in this corporation was very negative. They were always coming down on people, focusing on what was done wrong. So I made it my business for the people that were under me that I pointed out what they were doing right. I let them know what they were good at. When they did something good, I congratulated them. I let them know that. Um, when things got really bad, I would organize something after work and take people out for drinks. And that positivity certainly made things better for them, but it made things better for me because I didn't have anybody above me doing this. So doing it myself for others made me feel good about what I was doing there.
Yeah, and you've made a life and a living because of that. That's because that's who you are, and everybody knows that. And it's such a wonderful thing to have is feeling gratitude in everything that you're doing and knowing that you're helping people. Yes, it's good when people you tell you thank you and so on and so forth. And yes, it's okay to, appreciate that. But that's not why we're in it. We're in it because that's who we are. And everybody has that in them to go out and help other people and make them better just because you are you. And the bottom line is you become better for doing that automatically, and so do they. It's contagious.
And that's really the key, is that we do tend to get caught up in the attitudes of those around us. And if there's a lot of negativity, you feel that and you start becoming negative about yourself. So if you can focus on, well, look what I've done, look what I have, how much, you know, years and years ago, I was at a company that they were laying people off. The attitude at the company was just depressing. And I would come home, and my oldest, who now he's graduated college, but at the time he was two, would run up to the door. And as I was coming in, and just go, "Hi, Daddy, how was your day?" And at that moment, nothing that went on at work mattered. I could have had the worst possible day, didn't matter, because he came running up to me and just made me feel good. And you can do that for people on a regular basis. And the more you do it, the less the negativity affects you. And make no mistake, when I say negativity affects you, the effect of negativity and not being grateful and being jealous and envious is more than just being in a bad mood. It leads to depression. It leads to physical ailments. It leads to stress on your heart. There are physical and mental benefits to being grateful for what you have that will actually keep you healthy, keep you doing more.
Yeah, it's the law of attraction, like we talked about. I mean, you are what you think about and what you become. And what you just talked about your son greeting you when you got home from work is a beautiful, beautiful example. If you folks are out there wondering, how do I get a shifter together, like I talked about earlier, something to automatically make me happy, even in the worst circumstances. If you're a parent, picture your kid doing that, or picture some just joyful moment. Children are obviously some of the greatest sources of happiness that parents obviously will ever have. And the neatest thing about children is that life hasn't happened to them yet, so they're a whole lot more positive. And there's a lot that we can learn from our children just to be enthusiastic and happy about everything, regardless of what might be wrong around them.
Exactly. And, it's funny. A friend of mine who has kids who are older than mine was cleaning out their kids' stuff. Um, Her son said, "Yeah, I don't need that stuff anymore. Just throw it out." Well, before she threw it out, she went on Facebook and she said, "I've got this huge box of anime manga magazines. Does anybody want them?" Well, my both of my boys enjoy manga, so I asked them if they would like it. They said yes, so I told her I would take it off her hands. I brought this box of old magazines home, and my kids were through the roof. They were so happy. And I mentioned this to my friend, and she goes, "Isn't it great that at some point in your life you can be that happy over a box of magazines?" As we get older, it becomes, harder to overcome what life is throwing at us. But you have to remember that, yes, there are those things that can make you that happy, and you need to seek them out.
Oh, absolutely. Her ability to go out there and just try and share something instead of throw something out. I mean, it's just amazing. Sharing is such a huge part of gratitude, and gratitude is meant to be shared. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, when you can make somebody else happy, it makes you feel better. And again, we've said this a couple of times today. Gratitude is contagious, and a positive mindset is contagious. So when you take a good look at your own life, and you focus on what you have rather than what you don't have, we fall into this trap, especially around birthdays or holidays, where we start to look at all of the things we haven't done yet or all of the things we haven't gotten yet. But when you switch that and you look at the things you have done and you look at the things you do have, you become aware of how much you have. And yes, many people, we struggle at the end of the month to make all the bills and to, keep everything going. But again, here in the US, even the poorest among us is in the top 1% of the world population. So when you think about our ability to have food, have a roof over our heads, be able to have friends, to be able to, when we get sick, know that it's a cold and it's not going to be fatal. We have so much to be grateful for, and we have to look at that.
Absolutely. And with the end of the year coming up, looking upon those who are a little bit less fortunate and so on, one of the best ways that you can actually start attracting gratitude into your life is to volunteer for a good cause. Get involved in something, because the bottom line is people who are working for good causes and nonprofits and those kind of things, they're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, and you attract what you hang around with. So this is a great time of year to reach out a little bit and volunteer to do some nice things for your community, make some contributions if you can do that kind of thing. But this is a great time to of year, and really any time of year is a great time to recognize people who are on the surface less fortunate financially than us or material good wise, but they probably have a lot going on inside that we can share, that they can share with us, and we can share back with them.
Absolutely. You know, there are so many people who talk about this on a regular basis. Warren Buffett talks about this. Um, Kurosawa, who from Rich Dad Poor Dad, talks about this. He says, even when you think you don't have anything, the act of giving something to someone. Here in the Northeast, they do coat drives to keep people warm in the winter. There's toy drives all over the world, for kids that don't have. If you can just give one thing, an old coat, old clothes that they're in good condition, but they don't fit you anymore, or you're not going to wear them anymore. The act of giving helps uplift you. It makes you more aware that yes, you have to give to others. And that right there can help turn your mindset around. And it's not about, well, when I'm better off, I'll give. It's you give now and you will become better off. And there are so many very well off people who say this is what they started doing before they made their fortunes, and
Again,
it helped them so much.
yep, life is a series of present moments. So looking about at when is looking into the future, but the present moment now is a step towards that.
Exactly. All right, we're just about at the end of our time. So, Chip, what do you think is a big takeaway for our audience this week?
Well, our friend Rhonda Byrne, who wrote the Secret, wrote a book called The Power. And the bottom line is, if you can shift your life to 51% positive thinking, you can change your life. And the best way to do that is to feel and act upon your gratitude. Your best tool is a smile. Just smile in that mirror at yourself, and you're going to be a lot happier on a daily basis. If you start each day with a positive morning routine and finish the day with a positive evening routine, it's going to set you in the right direction. And very, very important, the best way to do this whole thing is to make sure that you are living in the present moment, and do not let your response be your initial reaction. If your initial reaction is negative, you have the power to just pause for a second and turn that into positive. Lionel Hampton, a jazz musician, said, gratitude is when memory is stored in the heart and not in the mind. I think that's a fantastic quote to take away.
I've never heard that. I love that. That's great. Yeah, I think for me, the big takeaway is illustrated in a cartoon that I've seen go around social media. And in the first panel, there's a person in just a regular car, and next to him is a luxury car, a luxury car. And he's thinking, oh, I really wish that I could have a car like that. And then in the next panel, it's the same guy in the regular car. Next to him is a guy on a bike. And the guy in the bike is saying, I really wish I had a car like that. And in the next panel, it's the guy on the bike and somebody walking, looking at him, saying, I really wish I had a bike like that. There's always somebody who's envying what you have. Stop being envious of what others have and be grateful for what you have, because you have so much more than you realize. And I think that's the big thing for everybody to remember, that no matter how much they think you don't have, you have so much more. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also find us on the Apple Podcasts app, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. See you then.